Hey guys, Camille here. Welcome back. Today I have a super fun demonstration that you can eat that will teach you all about your DNA. Okay, so today we're going to be making DNA. Wait, can we make DNA? Do you even know what DNA is? DNA is in our body. You've probably heard of it. DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and it's basically the blueprint for us. Animals have DNA. Every living thing has its own set of DNA. We get our DNA from our parents, from our mom and dad. Half of our DNA is from our mom, half of our DNA is from our dad. If you're talking with your family and you say that you have good genes, you're really talking about genetic information. Maybe your mom has blonde hair and so do you, or maybe dad has blue eyes and you got those too. Those are all because of your DNA. But here's the thing, have you ever seen your DNA? You probably haven't, because you can't just look at your cells and see DNA. But there was a wonderful female scientist named Rosalind Franklin who used X-ray crystallography to actually discover the structure of DNA, and she changed modern genetics. And so now that we understand the structure of DNA, we can study it and we can replicate it. And we can also build it using candy, which is what we're gonna do today. We are going to make your own DNA structure using some candy that you can eat, but also learn about how your DNA is constructed in your body. Before we start, I just want to mention that this activity was developed by the Genetic Science Learning Center at the University of Utah. It's a wonderful way to learn about DNA, so thank you for creating such an amazing demonstration. The first thing that you're going to need to build your own DNA are mini marshmallows, and not just regular mini marshmallows. We need the colored ones, and you'll see why later, but make sure to get colored mini marshmallows, not just the plain white ones. So the next thing that you need is licorice. I just have regular Twizzlers, but you can use whatever licorice you'd like. You can use black licorice, red licorice. Just make sure that they are long and skinny, preferably a little bit thicker. I have a few toothpicks here, which I will need to assemble my DNA. The last thing I'm going to use is a paper plate and a Sharpie to separate the colors of my mini marshmallows. DNA is in every one of your cells, and when DNA is isolated from a cell and taken out and stretched out, it looks like a long, twisted ladder. That shape is formally known as a double helix. The sides of the DNA ladder are called the DNA backbone, and the steps or rungs of the ladder are chemicals that are called bases. So in all of your DNA, there are only 4 chemical bases. They're also known as nucleotides, and they're represented with A, T, C, and G. And those stand for adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. And they only pair in a very specific way. A only pairs with T, and C only pairs with G. I want you to think about this for a second. Of those 4 bases and the way that they pair, the different arrangements of their bonding and how they're organized, the length of that DNA is what makes every living thing different. It makes us different from a worm. But a worm's DNA is still made with the same 4 bases. We all come down to those same 4 nucleotides. How crazy is that? So let's start building our own DNA. So the sequence of your DNA is so incredibly important. It's what defines you. And each trait that you have has its own sequence associated with it. So a sequence is kind of like a gene. It's a specific piece of genetic information that is associated with a certain trait. So maybe you have blonde hair, so your DNA has the sequence for blonde hair. Or if you have brown hair, you have a different sequence that's associated with your brown hair. So of course, if we're gonna build our own DNA, we have to start with a sequence. So what I need you to do is pause this video, go get a piece of paper and a pencil, because you're gonna write down the sequence that you're gonna build. So this is sequence 1. So I'm gonna say if you have blonde hair, choose sequence 1. If you have brown hair, let's pick sequence 2. Now, you're not left out if you don't have brown or blonde hair. What I want you to do is build your own sequence of 12 letters using only A, T, C, and G. They can be in whatever order you'd like, but that is going to represent your hair color. Okay guys, this is the fun part. We're gonna start opening up our treats and assembling our DNA. The first thing I'm going to do is separate out the colors of my mini marshmallows because you're going to need this when you assemble your DNA. I drew a grid on my paper plate and I'm going to label each of these quadrants A, T, C, and G. Now, each of these letters is going to be represented by one of the colors of my mini marshmallows. You can pick whatever color you'd like, but I'm going to make my A green, my T pink, my C yellow, and my G orange. And I'm just gonna write it on the plate so I remember. So my grid is all set up, and I am now going to take 12 of each color and put them in the right quadrant. So I have my mini marshmallows all separated out. And just a reminder, these are going to be the bases of our DNA ladder. But I'm gonna put them aside right now because we can't have a ladder without the backbones or the sides. And that is where our Twizzlers come in. So I'm gonna grab 2 Twizzlers out of here that are going to be the backbones of my DNA. So I have my DNA backbone, I have my bases, and now I need something to connect them. In real life, in your actual DNA, this is chemical bonds. But today, I'm gonna use some toothpicks. So I have 2 backbones, 12 toothpicks, and my colored mini marshmallows. Now, we need to reference back to the sequence that I had you write down before. So take a look at your sequence and take a look at your plate. Each of those letters is now associated with a color of your mini marshmallows. So because I have brown hair, I'm going to pick sequence 2. Sequence 2 starts with the letters T, G, G. In my colors, that is pink, orange, orange. So I'm going to take a pink marshmallow, stick it on my toothpick, and that is my T, that's my first letter, and I'm going to smash it into my licorice. So I have my T, I'm going to pick an orange G, stick it right next to that, and then it was T, G, G, so I need another G, one more orange G, and I have my first 3 bases on my licorice. So in genetics, 3 bases together are called a codon. It's associated with something called an anticodon, which comes in and helps to bring along something called an amino acid. Amino acids make up proteins, so when there's lots of codons that bring lots of amino acids, those amino acids link up and they form proteins. So those proteins that are produced from a gene is what makes some people's hair brown versus some people's hair blonde. It's what actually makes our genes cause the traits that we have as people. Our next 3 bases on sequence 2 are T, T, T. So again, that's 3 more pink marshmallows. Okay, the next 3 bases are A, G, A. So that is a green, orange, green. And I'm almost done. My final 3 bases are A, T, T. So a green and 2 pinks. We talked about in the beginning that DNA is a double helix. It doesn't just have one side. And that each of these bases has a specific other base that it pairs with. So this is where your plate grid is really gonna come in handy. For every color on this side of your DNA, the color next to it is the one that it bonds with. So for me, this first one is a pink, which is a T, and T only bonds with A. So that means that the next one on this side of my DNA will be a green marshmallow. So in genetics, this concept is really important. An A, or a green marshmallow, can't bond with a C or a G. So in this activity, a green marshmallow can't bond with an orange marshmallow or a yellow marshmallow. It can only bond with a pink marshmallow. But what can bond with an orange marshmallow is a yellow marshmallow. Remember that the orange marshmallow is a G, this yellow marshmallow is a C, and so guanine can bind with cytosine and our yellow marshmallow goes on. And just like that green marshmallow can't bond with the yellow or the orange, my yellow marshmallow can't bond with pink or green. Okay, so we have our DNA ladder, but this is not a double helix yet. Here comes the best part. We get to twist this into a double helix. So take your ladder and twist it and kind of squish it in. And this is your DNA double helix. There you have it, guys. You just made your own DNA that you can eat. So when you're snacking on this DNA after this video, I want you to think about a couple important things. DNA is in every living thing, and it's made up with the same basic structure. The order of each of the colors of mini marshmallows is exactly what makes each of our DNA different. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope that you make your own candy DNA at home. If you do, make sure to snap a picture and post it on social media for us to see. Tag me at Camille Schrier and tag at Miss America, and don't forget to include the hashtag Miss America How To.